Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I want to talk a little bit more about the PlayStation Classic. So this bad boy is right around the corner. December 3rd is the release date. $99.99. Includes 20 games, HDMI cable, a power cable, no brick, and 2 standard PlayStation controllers without analog sticks. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered. What games will be included? How long are the cables for the controllers? All that kind of stuff. And then, the sideline stuff. Is this going to be hackable? And I think anything is hackable, guys. But today what I want to kind of talk about is a few things here. So the industry analyst Michael Patcher, he was spoken to about what he thinks about the PlayStation Classic. And his predictions are pretty much, not surprising anyway. But he's saying, hey, this thing is going to sell millions, but it's going to be up to Sony. So he believes this holiday season, this thing is going to easily be able to sell 1-2 million units and not even affect PlayStation 4 sales. Why does he believe that? Well, he believes it's not going to affect PlayStation 4 sales because the target market for this device, those people already own PlayStation 4s for the most part, right? So I tend to agree with that. I think this is not necessarily going to dip into the sales of any console this holiday season. Definitely, I think it will overshadow some other classic consoles that are out there, are going to be out there, such as the Neo Geo Mini and the C64 Mini, which is coming out next week in the US. And also with the NES and SNES Classic Editions still being produced and fairly widely available, I think the sales for those are going to dip down drastically. I think pretty much everyone who has an NES or Super Nintendo Classic, that's it. Everybody who wants one has one. I don't really think sales for those are going to be up there during this holiday season like they were in the past. So for sure, the PlayStation Classic is going to be a huge hit. There's a lot of naysayers out there. You always have the people who say things like this don't make sense. Why would somebody buy this when there are other options out there? And I tend to agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, it's not for those people. The people who want to emulate on a PC, want to emulate on a Raspberry Pi, which, hey, believe it or not, Raspberry Pi 3 and 3B Plus does an excellent job playing PlayStation games. I've done images for that device and it works great. I've done some comparison videos and all that. And once the PlayStation Classic actually comes out, we'll be doing some more comparisons, just kind of testing things and seeing what we can do with it. Because I'm sure it's going to be hackable, but I want to compare it to other options that are available, such as the Raspberry Pi, the PlayStation TV, actual PlayStation units, other forms of emulation, so on and so forth, just to see, what performs the best. But like I said, a device like this, for a lot of people, I believe is going to be pretty cool. Like, people are really going to dig this thing. The people who are just, they've got their Raspberry Pi, they got their PC, they have no interest in these things, that's just how it always is. The Super Nintendo Classic, the NES Classic sold extremely well, yet there's tons of people who were against the devices for one reason or another, either because of the shortages, using that as like, hey, they're not producing enough for what everybody wants. I'm not going to buy it. I'll just get a Raspberry Pi instead. I believe those people weren't going to buy one anyway. They just, wanted to complain about something, which is fairly typical. We all want to complain about something, myself included. I like to complain every once in a while. But this device is something that I think a lot of people who have loved Sony PlayStation systems, they're definitely going to jump at this. The $99 price point, you can argue all day, anything is too expensive. Anything costs more than what I want to pay. You could buy a 99-cent burrito at Taco Bell and think, you know what, I would have rather have paid 50 cents for this thing. It could have been the best damn crappy burrito you ever ate. You would have been more happy paying less for it. That holds true to everything. Now, with a device like this, there's only 20 games on it, which for me it's going to be a thing where people are going to be disappointed no matter what, because the games they're going to include on here, I have a decent feeling it's going to be a wide range of things. They've already showcased 5 of the games that are going to be on the device, and 2 of those games are role-playing games. Now, PlayStation was very heavy into role-playing games, and I would definitely be excited if all 20 of them on the system were all role-playing games. That would be great, but that would not be awesome for a lot of other people. So my gut feeling is Sony is definitely going to have this system have a wide range of genres to kind of appease that itch for a lot of different types of gamers out there. But there's going to be people who don't care about Final Fantasy VII, don't care about Wild Arms, and just want to play, those action platformers, or maybe even sports games, racing games, all sorts of different things, shooters. And I don't know if this system is really going to please those people, because there's definitely going to be games on there that you don't care for, regardless of what genres you're into. Nintendo, when they put out their systems, with the NES Classic, and the Super Nintendo Classic, I believe both of those systems had a very nice range of games included on them, where it kind of pleased a lot of people. And with Nintendo, I'm not saying Nintendo's games hold, more dear to people than other companies, because anybody can argue that. It depends on when you were exposed to games, what generation you grew up with. But Sony has some awesome classics as well. But for me, looking at it, Nintendo can please more people at once with the range of games that they put on those, because the NES Classic, for example, most of those games were fairly casual games. It was kind of a product of its time. The NES did have role-playing games and whatnot, but that was not the heavy focus on the Classic Edition. It had a bunch of games that, even if you weren't really into those genres now, they still were games you may have enjoyed when you were a kid and still can jump back into them and enjoy them now. Now, Sony, with the original PlayStation, there was just, it kind of changed the marketplace, I think, at that time. There was just so many games being developed, and, a broad range of every genre, that it's really going to be hard to please everyone. Because for me, the NES, the Super Nintendo Classic, I am happy with every single game on that system. Every single game. The PlayStation Classic, with the 20 games it's going to have, I don't think I'm going to be able to say the same thing. And I think a lot of other people will find themselves in a similar, thought process anyway. I'm still very excited to see what games are included. The prospect of hacking this system, I really think what we're really going to be able to do with this, because I don't know if Sony's really taking the care to make sure it can't be hacked. I don't know. It's too early to tell. But my thought process is these are CD-based games, and you already have a Final Fantasy VII on there, which is a very large game. And with the other 20 games they put on here, are they going to cheap out and put really small games for the rest of them? I don't think so. There might be a handful of games that are, take up smaller amounts of memory, but I think with whatever capacity this thing ships with, as far as how they flash the games and whatever the user interface looks like, that's another thing. We don't know what the user interface looks like yet, but I have a feeling that it's just not gonna have much space at all left over to play with. So I have this feeling that it will be hackable, but it's not going to be hackable in the same sense as like the Super Nintendo or the NES Classic in the early days of those devices, because those have been expanded on. You can expand the memory and whatnot. But I think with the PlayStation Classic, maybe the initial ways of hacking it will be more of a thing where you can swap games in and out. You can change a game if you don't like a particular game that's on there. Jumping Flash, for example. That's an okay game, little sleeper hit. Some people like it, some people don't. Me personally, I tried playing it again, and it just doesn't hold up for me. But that would be a game I would want to remove and put something else on, depending upon what other games are on there. So that's what I think the initial hacking scene will be like for this system. We'll be able to swap games around, and then somebody will figure something out with expanding the memory on this unit, and that'll be pretty cool for sure. Can't wait to see how this thing emulates these games. what kind of options there are, the user interface, and more importantly, we need to know what the rest of the games are. I have mine pre-ordered. I am super excited for it, more so than most other things that are coming out this holiday season. And for sure, just like Michael Pratcher says, this is going to be hot. Sony's just going to have to keep up with demand and make sure they produce enough of them, because Sony PlayStation is one of the best-selling systems of all time, so there's going to be a lot of people who have that nostalgia for this system. The system sold almost 103 million units worldwide. It is the fourth best-selling game console of all time. The Wii is the fifth best-selling. My bad. Almost made a mistake there. PlayStation 2 is number 1, Nintendo DS number 2, the Game Boy Color line number 3, and then PlayStation at number 4. So there are tons of people, who love the original PlayStation. Do those games hold up to today? For some, no. For some, yes. For me, just depends on the game. I think there's plenty of them that hold up, so can't wait. Really curious to hear what you guys think about this thing. Do you think it's going to be a smash hit? Sony hasn't said anything if this is going to be a limited release or anything like that. You know, they're kind of quiet on it at the moment. Hopefully we hear some more news soon. But yeah, share your comments down below. I read them all. Really do appreciate you guys stopping in. Smash that like button, slap it around a little bit. Punch the crap out of that notification bell, because that's the only way you'll know when I upload some videos. And it greatly helps out my channel to keep us going here. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're about to hit a pretty awesome milestone for the channel, and we will be announcing some giveaways pretty soon for that. Definitely want to give back to as many people as I can anyway. So thank you. Smash it. Peace out. Bye-bye. And boom!